are Muslim. So we are saying 1/5 or less are Muslim. Majority of the people are non-Muslim. So we look at these statistics and we understand we are not just talking about this is because of Muslims or this is happening to us. No, this is happening to all people. 33% of all women, our sisters, our mothers, our aunts, our nieces, our daughters, and so on and so forth, 33% of all women will be abused physically or sexually in their lifetime. What kind of world is that? This is going on today in the so-called modern world. So I did gather some statistics before for a talk about women, because subhanAllah, we're always on the defensive as Muslims. We always feel we are under attack. But we don't have to be like that. We need to look at the reality in the world today and say Islam is not the system that is leading the world today. And the world is in a very bad and difficult situation. What's leading to that? The financial crisis in the world today. The United States owes more than $14 trillion. What? Numbers like this didn't even exist a little while ago. 14 trillion. The European Union is now talking about it will collapse or it will not collapse. Countries that are supposed to be the cradle of civilization and democracy and the system of today's world. Greece is on the verge of collapse. Spain, Ireland, and so on and so forth. So we can see Islam is not leading. It's not our system and our way of life that is leading, and the world is in a difficult situation. The world is suffering. For example, some statistics about women. These are focusing on the United States, because this is what I had access to. So they said, for example, every 2 minutes, someone is sexually assaulted in the United States. On average, every 2 minutes, a woman is raped. Every 15 seconds in America, a woman is beaten, is battered. So the majority of women in America are Muslim or non-Muslim? They are non-Muslim. So we can see that there is really something going on. They said more than 4 million women and girls are trafficked annually as slaves, mainly for the sex industry and sex trade. What is this? So the world is in a difficult situation and the world is crying. It's in need. It's in need of something good. It's in need of something better to relieve it from all of this difficulty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah says, we did indeed honor, dignify, make noble mankind. Man is preferred above other animals in creation. We have our ability to reason, our free will, and so on and so forth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored us. But in other places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes mankind and says he's kafur, ingrateful, and he disbelieves and rejects. Says he's ajul, says that he's always in a hurry and he's not patient, he cannot wait. Says that we created mankind in the best form, but then we sent him back to be the lowest of the low. The worst. So how can we put these two together? This is important for us as Muslims to understand. You see, what happens is shaitan has 2 doors to attack us. Door number 1, shahawat. Shahawat is what? Who can tell me? Huh? Should we give to the moderator or no? Is it okay? Huh? You answered. Bismillah. So, shahawat. Sisters, you can answer also. We will find some way to throw it. I don't know. Shahawat means desires, temptations, lusts. Shaitan will come to man with these things. His love for money, for power, for the opposite gender, and so on and so forth. The second door that shaitan will try to attack mankind is shubuhat. What's shubuhat mean? What is shubuhat? Misconceptions. It means doubts, confusion about the religion, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the Quran, so on and so forth. So what are the 2 ways to block those doors from shaitan attacking? Number 1, you should take notes. Some of you have pens and paper, but you're not writing anything. Unless you can remember all of it, which means you are maybe using more than the 2 or 3% of your brain that most of us are using, mashallah. So the capability now to, what was I saying? The way to block those doors for shaitan to attack. Shahawat, we block the door with sabr, with patience. Patience, commitment, perseverance. How do we develop our sabr? What's the main way we can develop our sabr? Through ibadat, through worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Committing to the prayer, committing to fasting, giving zakah, going for hajj. All of these things require patience, commitment, determination. They build up our character when it comes to sabr. This is number one. You understand sabr? The word sabr? Sabr means patience, commitment, determination, perseverance. It has all of those meanings. You see, many words in Arabic cannot be translated very well. They have to be explained, unfortunately, in few sentences. The second door, how do we close the door to shubuhat? Confusion, doubts, misconceptions. Knowledge. Who said that? MashaAllah. Sound, authentic knowledge. So, going to the Quran and the Sunnah with the proper understanding, right? With the proper understanding is the way that you can close the door to those doubts. How many a time a young person will come to a sheikh and say, Sheikh, you know, the people they are saying this about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they said this one about the Quran, is it true? Oh, and very upset. And the sheikh will smile very calmly and say, brother, it's okay. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3. Easily can answer that and make that doubt and confusion vanish. So it's important for us to continue seeking knowledge. When talking about seeking knowledge, this course, for example, is mainly based on our brother, may Allah bless him and reward him, Brother Jawad. He took it from Dr. Bilal Phillips' book, what was it called? Moral Foundations of Islamic Culture. So you can find this book actually broken down into a course on the Islamic Online University. The book is written by Dr. Bilal Phillips, and the university was founded by Dr. Bilal Phillips. So they have a diploma program that is fully free, doesn't cost anything. It's online in English, and you can do it at your own pace. So I recommend everyone to write this down. IslamicOnlineUniversity.com. You go there, you can enroll for this course, and I would recommend everyone, after this course is over, you sign up for this course. They broke the book down into 4 modules, and they give you a quiz on each module. And then at the end, there's an exam. It's all online, multiple choice. So you can see, verify, did you understand the information correctly? Did you learn something, inshallah? Okay? Because maybe we will not give you the exam in this forum or in this class, unless you want to, I don't know. You can give them an exam at the end, they're not expecting it. Pop quiz. So it's important for us all to continue to seek knowledge, and it's important for us to make sure we have the tools to eliminate all of this kind of doubt and confusion. Because those who have knowledge and wisdom, when they look deeply, they can see and understand all of the wisdom behind the Sharia, or a lot of the wisdom. Of course, some only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may know it. But we can have a further appreciation for the Islamic culture and the Islamic way of life. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He did indeed create us into different nations, different tribes. But why? Is it so that we can be racist? So that we can go for nationalism? So that we can, when there's a soccer match, a football match, I'm American, we say soccer, but you guys say football, right? Football for us is, you throw it by arm. So, when there's a football match between 2 countries, even they are both Muslim, they are both Arab, for example, then after the match is over, fans from one team will go and burn the stadium of the other team, and they will kill some of the fans and so on, as happened not too long ago between, for example, Algeria and Egypt. Both Arab, both in North Africa, both Muslim, and subhanAllah, they come and they fight each other. So we need to be conscious of who we are and what we are doing. This nationalism, these boundaries. We know in Sykes-Picot, an event that occurred in our history, that the colonial powers, they came with a map of the world. People from France and England and this country and that country, and they looked at the Muslim world and they started to divide it up with a ruler. You can even see the borders of some of our countries, they're straight lines. They came with the ruler and they drew lines and they started dividing our countries. Before there was no Libya, no Egypt, no Algeria, no Tunisia. There were some tribes, there were people that had some different customs, some maybe different dialect, but people were all living together in one ummah. Then all of a sudden they came and they drew lines and they said, you are Libyan, you are Egyptian, you are, and that is the most important thing. And now we are ready to kill each other over a football match. Why? Because we are so proud of our nationality, so proud of our race, and so on and so forth. And that has caused so much hatred. So much hatred until now. If you can imagine, in the modern world, there is still racism in the United States. A woman, Iraqi woman from my hometown where I grew up in America, was just recently beaten to death in her home. Some white skinhead racists, they broke into her house and they beat her to death in the head with an iron. They killed her. Why? They wrote, go back home to your country. What is this? What is this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when the Sahaba became Muslim, especially the Ansar were from 2 tribes. Is that right? What were the names of those tribes? We're going to run out of these in the first session. Oh, one brother raised his hand, the other one answered. Which one do we give? The one who raised his hand, right? Or they can split it. Here, brother. I don't know if I can throw it to you without hitting anybody else. Bismillah. Okay? So Aus and Khazraj are 2 tribes. Those tribes had been fighting each other for such a long time, for generations. And the tribalism says, we kill one from your tribe, you kill one from our tribe, back and forth, like gangs today. Like gangs today. So we don't think that this is some backwards practice from the old times. I was living in Los Angeles. So a report in 2007 said in Los Angeles, there were 864 gangs and mafias in just one city. Those gangs had more than 28,000 gang members. Most of them are with weapons. Some weapons even police cannot get, automatic weapons. And they are killing each other back and forth. I think there was in 2009, 2010, close to 40,000 murders in America. That means September 11th is happening every month on average. That's how many people are being killed, if you can imagine. So of course this is not a way to live. It's normal in Los Angeles, in some neighborhoods, to hear gunshots. A person might get killed for their shoes. You have nice shoes on, they like your shoes, kill you, take your shoes. Yeah. I know some people, they became Muslim, they said, what should I do with all these things I have? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, my ring, I stole it. I saw somebody, I beat him, I took it. Then this necklace, I saw another one, I beat him, I stole it. Then this one, I stole from him his clothes or shoes or whatever. What do I do about this? What are we living in the jungle? We're living in civilized world or what? Subhanallah. So this is the way that people are living today. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said we created mankind in the best of forms, but then we sent him back to be the lowest of the low unless he believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he does good. And he also enjoins people to the truth and he enjoins people to be patient, as was described in more detail in Surah Al-Asr. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said mankind has potential to be the best, better than even angels, because angels don't have free will, but also human being can be worse than animals. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said those who don't worship Allah, they're indeed like cattle, cows and sheep and so on, but they're even worse. Because cows and sheep, they're fulfilling their purpose. They worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their own way. They do what they are supposed to do. They fulfill their function. They eat, they sleep, they reproduce, they die. But the human being who lives like that, he becomes worse than an animal because he's not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not fulfilling his true function and purpose in life. To truly devote himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to achieve happiness and success in this life and more importantly in the hereafter. And subhanAllah, when you look closely at human beings, they do things that no animal could ever do. Animals, they don't commit genocide. Animals, they don't torture. Animals, they don't rape. Animals, they are not capable of doing the evil things that humans can do based on racism, based on discrimination based on this one and that one, subhanAllah. So the human being has capability to be so good, but at the same time we can see that some human beings, when they follow their own desires and they follow shaitan, they become worse than even animals. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj, they were killing each other for generations. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after they became Muslim, brought them together till they became true brothers. They would pray side by side. They loved one another. They fought in battle together. They protected the Prophet ﷺ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, if you spent all the money in the world, لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم, you wouldn't be able to bring their hearts together. You would never have been able to bring their hearts together. Subhanallah. So Islam has that element and that factor. Look at now in the United States, supposed to be a very developed and advanced country and so on. But when the system was put by human beings who didn't understand everything, even though we said at their time, oh, they were so intellectual and advanced, Thomas Jefferson and this one and that one and so on. What did they write in their constitution? They said those who are black, they count as 3/5 of a human being only. They cannot count as a full human being, because all of them owned slaves and they looked at their slaves as being less, and their slavery system was based on color and race. Subhanallah. Then we can say that these people put a system that is good for human beings and that is going to be perfect. Maybe it has some good elements, sure. Maybe they got lucky and they were right on some aspects, but do they know better than the Creator? Now today we look back at that thing and we say, this is backwards. How could people understand that? How could they think that? How could they follow that? How could they believe that? Subhanallah. And we see their constitution has been amended how many times? Over and over and over they amend. They said, oops, we forgot something. Oops, we made a mistake. Oops, this is not right. So we need to have this deeper understanding of what does it mean to truly be a Muslim, and how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala create all of us different, but what was His intention? For our culture and our nationality and our race to cause hatred, to cause problems. So today people kill each other and wars occur only because of color, only because of race, only because of culture. No, that wasn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for us to follow the correct way and to truly achieve happiness and success in this life and in the hereafter. I'm sorry for the long introduction, but I hope this can put in perspective this course and something that we hope to get out of it, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us agents for change and agents to help establish good in this world. We have two goals as Muslims, as true believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number one is to achieve success and happiness for ourselves. And that means going to paradise. That's our goal. You can summarize it as that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. Whoever is saved from the hellfire, because everybody potentially can go to hellfire, but whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves them by His mercy, and He enters them into paradise because of their good intentions, their sincerity, their good efforts, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them true success. They have succeeded. And they will be truly happy in this life and in the hereafter. And goal number two for every Muslim is a collective goal as an ummah, and that is to establish the way of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for mankind on this earth. In our own life, in our family's life, in our community's life, in our nation's life, in the world, as much as we can. Because we have a duty to those who are suffering. We can see those who are hungry, those who are being abused, those who are being killed, why? That doesn't have to occur. It shouldn't occur. It's our duty to stop it. By establishing good in our own lives, by living truly as Muslims and establishing the deen, the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended for us in our own lives, in our families' lives, our communities' lives, and so on and so forth. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to do that. Okay, brother, let's jump into the slides. Bismillah. So let me open the slides here so I can see them properly. Allahu Akbar, what is going on here? My computer is frozen, so let me sit this way so I can see with you. Okay. You want to read, brother, you said?
Culture, the way of life of specific group. The culture of most of the world today is that of Western Europe and America. It was exported to the remainder of the world during the period of European colonization and continued during the neo-colonial era by the way of indirect rule.
Okay. So the word culture, of course, has varying definitions, and we don't necessarily find one that is unanimously agreed upon. But we can see that today in the modern world, culture is being used in different ways. So culture, we talk about it in society, but we even talk about culture in organizations. So those of you who are studying business, for example, you will come across organizational culture. Meaning within this company, what's our culture? The way we talk, the way we live, the norms, the values. What do we consider okay and acceptable? What do we consider not okay and not acceptable? And so on and so forth. So of course, many studies of anthropology and so on will try to focus on culture is the music, the food, the clothing, this one and that one. But it goes beyond that actually. Culture goes even to what do we consider to be right and wrong. So you ask your parents, ask your grandparents about your country that you're originally from, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, what were things like? You will see there was a big difference in what was culturally acceptable, in the way people dressed, for example, in the way that people would travel around, in the way that people would talk, in the way that people would conduct themselves with one another. Many norms and values have changed. Change is not necessarily a bad thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticizes those who say, when the prophets and messengers come to them, calling them to something better, they said, no, 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 no. We found our forefathers doing this, so we will do the same thing like them, finished. We have to follow them. We have to be in accordance with their ways and their tradition. So we said, that kind of blind following is wrong. How many things we do different now than what our ancestors did. Our ancestors didn't use hand phones and iPad and didn't dress like this and didn't drive cars and didn't do so many things. So we changed in many aspects of our life, and there's nothing wrong with that. Although, of course, some of those technology bring problems, subhanAllah. You know, human beings don't know all things, so we end up even hurting ourselves. We hurt the environment, we hurt our own body, and so on and so forth, subhanAllah. But the bottom line is, we saw good in those, we went for them, no problem. But when it comes to some other ways, you come to somebody who's a rocket scientist. He understands the world and the universe and how things work, and he's a genius. But subhanAllah, this is my professor in Jordan, for example. I did some studies in Jordan. So in one of my lectures, he told me a story. He said a lecturer from the university went to India. So he was there with another engineering professor, and they're doing some research and so on and so forth. He said, we're driving in the car. All of a sudden, all traffic stops. All traffic. So I'm looking what's going on. I see that there's a herd of cows crossing the street. So the cow for the Hindus is very sacred. So he said, all the traffic stopped. He said, and then the professor that I'm with, all of a sudden he's watching. He opens the door, he gets out of the car, and he starts running. So he said, I don't understand what's going on. So I got out to see. So I see he's running to where one of the cows has defecated. One of the cows, he went to the toilet on the ground. So the professor and other people, they went and grabbed from that excrement and they wiped it on their face. They wiped it upon their body for the blessings or for the whatever. So this person who understands the universe, he doesn't dress the way his ancestors did. He doesn't live the way they did in so many ways. Elements of his culture have changed. But when it came to that, he said, no, this one is good. I will do it. I will take feces and I will wipe it on my face. Why? What? So when you come and try to talk with that person rationally, he will say, no, 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 I follow my forefathers' way. But you don't follow their way in everything. Why don't you want to think openly and look for the right way and the best way? And determine for yourself what is good and follow. Follow. SubhanAllah. So we find many Muslims are the same way. When we come to talk to them about something, Allah and the Prophet ﷺ said such and such. They will say, no, 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 no. We follow our forefathers' way. And your forefathers are messengers of God or what? The Prophet ﷺ is saying, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say, no, 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 no. But you don't follow your forefathers in everything. You don't wear sarong, you don't eat like this, you don't dress like this. You changed your culture in many aspects. He says, no, but in this one I won't change. So we need to be cautious not to fall into that. When you tell somebody about an element of Islam from the Quran and Sunnah, he says, oh, you are from another country. My country, we do it like this. Oh, I didn't know every country has its own Islam. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ came with only one Islam. So it's important for us to keep this in context throughout this course. So, subhanAllah, the old days of colonization was military invasion. Come and take over the country, suck the resources of the country, enslave the people. And, of course, the European mentality, unfortunately, was based on some kind of racism and superiority. We are better because we are white. We are better because our country has some more technology, blah, 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 in this town. Some kind of war and so on. When they interviewed the gangsters, they said life has no meaning. My cousin was killed, my brother was killed, I killed many people, and I will keep killing, and I don't care if I get killed, and so on. Is this the way that life should be? Is this how human beings live? Allahu Akbar. And this isn't supposed to be one of the most civilized countries in the world. So we need to ask ourselves and not be fooled. Sometimes we have an inferiority complex based on our nationality or race or whatever it might be. We start to look at other countries in other ways and we say, oh, they're living better. Living better is not about technology or buildings or high-speed internet or money or what do those things mean when you as a human being, you have no good inside of you. One professor from Harvard, he just retired recently and he wrote a book. So he worked in Harvard University, one of the best universities in the world, for more than 30 years. He said our university was excellent at producing skilled employees for the job market. We produce some of the best people. They work in Wall Street and they work here and there and so on and so forth. But he said we failed at producing good human beings. So he said the ones who were leading the financial crisis, stealing the money of people and causing the destruction of companies and families and entire countries, many of them were Harvard graduates. He said we produced them to be so smart, to understand the industry, to be excellent, but they didn't have compassion, they didn't have mercy, they didn't have any morality, they didn't believe about right and wrong. They went for capitalism based on natural selection. Social Darwinism. They said, survival of the fittest. You cannot make it, your problem. You become poor, you become homeless, I don't care. And I will get the money from you by hook or by crook. Whatever I have to do, I don't care. So this kind of human being, even he has money and technology and so on, to me, he's worse than an animal. He's not civilized. What kind of person is this? He has no mercy, no compassion. He doesn't care about right and wrong. He's willing to get as much as he can, doesn't care how, as if he's in the jungle, like an animal, subhanAllah. So we need to be aware now that this physical colonization has ended, but there are other forms of colonization, what they call in Arabic, al-ghazw al-thaqafi. Now the attack and the invasion is a cultural invasion. Because now you can enter the home of every single person through a satellite dish. You can get in through the high-speed internet connection. You can get in through the fast food that they eat, and the clothes that they wear, and the music that they listen to, and the movies that they watch, and the way they cut their hair, and the shoes that they wear, and the way that they walk, and the way they sag their pants. Every little thing you can get to them. So you can find now, as Dr. Bilal Phillips gives some example in his book and so on, you watch a program on National Geographic deep in the jungle in South America, and the guy is wearing Nike t-shirts. And he's wearing Adidas baseball cap. And he's wearing here loincloth from the traditional clothing. So this is the culture now has invaded. And through that, you are able to manipulate perceptions, and you are able to have entire countries and nations become manipulatable in your hand, the way you want. You can get their resources, you can have them become subservient to you, obedient to you, and so on and so forth. Your goal in the end, is it that you want good for mankind by exporting your culture? No. No. It's that you want good for yourself. Whatever can help you to get the most money, whatever can help you to get the full control, that's what you care about. That's why we see many of these so-called superpowers in the world today. They will not get involved in many issues in the world. People are starving, people are suffering, people are being massacred. They don't get involved unless there is a direct benefit and interest for them. So they don't believe in good or bad, right or wrong. They believe in the mighty dollar. Right? The dollar says, in God we trust. It should say, in the dollar we trust. Because this is how many people are living now. This is how many people are behaving, subhanAllah.